Hey, before we get started with Coffee Time today, if you are watching this on the day that it releases, which is Thursday, May 6th, 2021, before 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I want to invite you to join with me today for a live question and answer at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Pastor David Guzik's YouTube channel for Enduring Word. If you don't know what Enduring Word is or who David Guzik is, David is a pastor and a biblical commentator. He's the author of what I believe is probably the most widely used Bible commentary in the world today at enduringword.com. I have the privilege of serving with David as a board member at Enduring Word and also at blueletterbible.com. And David does a weekly live question and answer on Thursday afternoons on YouTube. So today at noon Pacific Standard Time, if you have some time to join with me, I'm going to be filling in for his live question and answer as he's been taking some time off the last few weeks. So you can find the live question and answer if you just go to pastormiles.com/EW. That's EW for Enduring Word. So pastormiles.com/EW. And if you are watching this after the live broadcast, you can link to that same website and it'll take you to an archive of the Q&A that I'll do on the 6th. So I hope that you can join us. And if you're watching live, you'll be able to post any questions that you might have. So if you have any questions about the Bible, about theology, about culture, you can just go and watch that and post it in the chat that will be going on during the live stream. And those questions will be sent to me and I'll be able to answer them right there. So I hope to see you there. And now get your coffee. It is one of those well-known passages of Scripture, and it is an important passage of Scripture. Jesus has a morning meal with his disciples by the Sea of Galilee after his resurrection. This is considered by many Bible teachers to be the restoration of Peter after he denied Christ 3 times in the pre-dawn hours of Good Friday. Peter had boldly proclaimed his allegiance to Jesus after Jesus had predicted that Peter would deny him. Peter says, "Even if I have to die with you, I will not deny you." But to his shame, Peter did deny the Lord, just as the Lord had said that he would. 3 times he swore, "I do not know the man." And after Jesus' resurrection, angelic messengers told those that were first to the tomb on Resurrection Sunday to go and tell his disciples and Peter that Jesus would go before them to Galilee and that they would see him as he said that they would. And in John 21, we have that meeting with the disciples and Peter. And so Peter, humbled and probably not as brash as he had been before the crucifixion, he sits with Jesus as the Lord asks him this powerful question, "Peter, do you love me?" Now, this section of Scripture is one of the ones that it is helpful to have Greek study tools. You don't necessarily need to be able to read the New Testament in the original language in Greek, but it is helpful to have tools like Blue Letter Bible, if you go to blb.org, or even an old-fashioned Greek interlinear New Testament. If you have one of these, it shows you the Greek language on the top and the English right underneath each of the Greek words. And if you look at one of these Greek interlinear Bibles, then you'll see that when Jesus says to Peter, "Peter, do you love me?" he uses the Greek word agapos, or it's the Greek root word agape. And this is that highest form of love in Greek. It is a self-sacrificing total devotion. It is the love that is described and defined by the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and translated there in the King James Version as charity. And so Jesus says to Peter, "Peter, do you love me?" with self-sacrificing total devotion. And the answer is obviously no. We already know that. He said with his words before that he would die with the Lord or die for the Lord. And then instead of dying, he denied him. So he didn't have a self-sacrificing total devotion for the Lord. And now he's humbled, not so brash. And Peter says, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. But the word that he uses changes. This is where that Greek interlinear is helpful, because instead of saying, yes, Lord, you know that I agape you, he says, yes, Lord, you know that I phileo you. Now, phileo is a wonderful form of love as well, but it's not maybe as high, or it's not the same kind of total devotion and self-sacrificial total devotion that agape is. And so he says, I love you with a brotherly love. He says, I can't say that I love you with self-sacrificing total devotion. So he's honest, he's humbled. And then a second time, Jesus asked him, Simon, son of Jonah, do you agape me? And the second time, he says, Lord, you know that I phileo you. And then a third time, to the one that had denied Jesus 3 times, he says, Peter, do you, and he doesn't use agape, he says, do you phileo me? Now, Jesus is questioning Peter's previous 2 declarations. And we can't hear the tone of Jesus when he asks him, but we can see that Peter was grieved that Jesus asked him a third time, do you phileo me? And I imagine the tone might have been, Peter, do you really phileo me? And Peter was grieved because Jesus asked him a third time, and he says, Lord, you know all things. You know that I phileo you. This is an amazing exchange, but what I find interesting is that each time that Jesus asks Peter, do you love me? Each time Peter responds, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. And each time Jesus meets Peter where he is at, no matter the level of devotion, and says to him, feed my lambs. Peter, do you love me? Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Feed my lambs. Then a second time, shepherd my sheep. And then a third time, feed my sheep. No matter what level of devotion, God has a call and a work for you to accomplish. And as you seek to walk in his will and serve him, your level of devotion will inevitably increase. Something to think about. We'll see you next time.